Welcome to Deep Thought, the Black Mainstream 2100. Yeah. Y'all know me. I like to do some futurist stuff, and I'm looking. One of the things I do in trying to project what's going to happen in the future is just looking at trends now. You know, even for those who get into, like, say, doing readings, doing like, whether it's like some intuitive reading, psychic reading, or things of that nature. Those readings really don't look into the future. The future hasn't been written. It's impossible to look into the future itself. It's impossible. Some people think it is, think it's possible, think that's what's happening. No, when someone does a reading on you, they're actually looking at subconsciously. They don't realize it's subconsciously or spirit. You subconsciously if you're more science orientated, spiritually if you're more spiritual orientated, right? They're just looking at how you are now and saying this is what's going to happen. And I've used this example before of a mechanic. A really good mechanic can look at anyone's car as it is now and tell you when something is going to break down. Like a really good one. They can just look at it. Some can even like just listen to the engine. They'll say, hey, you're gonna need a tune-up. Or, you know, like when I had this one shade tree mechanic who had fixed my car for me, and we were just doing it on like a little test drive, and he was just like, yeah, you need to balance those wheels, bro. So it's like they can tell, right? So I'm just looking at what's going on now and saying, okay, what's the black mainstream going to look like in 2100? And I think, honestly, and I'll tell you why I think this. I think it's going to be a combination, honestly, of like the Afrofuturistic look, ironically. But just that aesthetic and everything, the Afro-punk aesthetic, and also Pookie culture. And I'm going to call it Pookie culture. Now, y'all know that I'm the one who said, you know, it's overrated. The Pookie, just to be clear, because I always got to make this clear. I said it's overrated, but I ain't say it didn't exist. So you got a lot going on. And, you know, people would say, well, okay, that's that look. They don't have like that clean cut aesthetic, right? And they might be a little bit more artistic, right? The reason why I say this, why the mainstream will look like it, is a very simple thing. Who's mating? Who's having children? See, one thing, the quote unquote, I say that like that clean cut black mainstream now, the educated, brothers and sisters, there's a whole lot in that having babies. It's now, I know I've said, you got a lot of brothers up there who are making money, they clean cut. A lot of them ain't pumping out kids. Now, I know I caught something when I said something on my other channel about the percentage of black men who don't have kids. Right? And people think it's higher. It's like, no. If you actually go out there, especially brothers who are responsible enough not to want to have a child without being married, because, that's a definite, percentage of brothers who aren't married. It's actually close to what they say the numbers are for the brothers who don't have kids, right? It's like 40% and stuff, right? But a lot of those brothers in the 40%, they're not mating. They not popping out kids. A lot of the, quote unquote, where we have the mainstream, respectable, clean cut type of black woman these days, don't have kids. Think of that's a very big dynamic. That's a very big dynamic. Now, who's having the kids now, right? First of all, a lot of underclass men and women are popping out kids. And that's the problem. A lot of the more alternative living black people, especially if they follow another, something outside of Christianity, as faith or something, or in the black conscious community, stuff like that, they're popping out kids. And quiet as it's kept, you get a lot of people who are in, I say that Afro-punk type of aesthetic. They'll have kids because those will be the ones like breastfeeding out like in public and shit, and want somebody to say something to them, right? It's like more. I've also noticed too that once you get away from the quote unquote black mainstream, black people tend to like be more likely to form bonds, pair bond, and everything. And I think part of that is if you kind of out there, or you on that crunchy granola type of thing, as some people call it, you one of those artsy brothers, and you got the crystals and all of that, and you're an artsy sister. Y'all don't have too many people to mess with, so if you find somebody who's on that vibe, should you more likely stay together, right? So you got all that, whereas and you still have the, I call it like more the black upper class. They will have children still, but you have the other classes who are basically, it's, the population is just going to be bigger, and what's going to happen, that's going to become the norm, whatever it is. And we're talking 2100, so you got, what are you going to have? You're going to have plus with the general anti-black feeling that we have out here now, a lot of black people are responding to it by really embracing their own blackness. I mean, you got about I've lost count of how many companies I've came across that's selling clothing and stuff that's embracing blackness and embracing also that aesthetic, right? So, and then you still got the pookie culture in there, because as the economic tides change, now there's still some money to be made, but then you having a lot of black people, they being pushed out of that with automation, everything coming. And even on my business channel, talk about the cannabis industry. A lot of blacks are locked out of that. They making it hard. It's like you got the people dominating that right now are whites with money, right? So you got a lot of stuff pushing blacks in a different direction, and it's going to show up in mating. It's also going to show up in money, because just despite everything in all those communities I mentioned, you still got hustlers and people making money. Now, after a while, they might just overpower and really truly become the black mainstream. The reason why, just sheer numbers. You have some people who they're going to make money. As you get people who make money, they're going to become more of not so much the actual leaders, but the influencers. People going to follow that. People follow the attractive people who make money, right? So that's, and I think it's just going to be a different thing. It's going to probably be normal. Unless something drastic happens, it's going to be normal. Like, I would say like this. Like, even the thing with weaves and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised in 2100 that's almost a thing of the past. It'll be a more natural thing. It'll be a totally, it might be unrecognizable to us now, right? And we ain't even gonna get into how the multiracial population play into it. That's almost another conversation, right? But I think I see the change coming, and it just come down to population. And in fact, we say all this about we say all we say about the population, but it's yeah yeah. So anyway, right? Yeah, because I was just thinking, because I need to probably do something on that. just how the population and who's having babies and stuff, that's going to make the big difference. And what the taste and preferences are of that population and how it becomes dominant. Right? So anyway, yeah. Because because now my mind's clicking. Now it's deeper than I thought. This could actually be a book. I might do some more research on this. So anyway, right, that's all I have for now. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.